YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with another 7-round NFL mock draft. This one's for the Buffalo Bills, who have 10 draft picks in the upcoming NFL draft. So a lot of picks, a lot of young players coming into what's already a young group with a lot of potential. Really like the way they drafted last year. Let's see if they can do it again here. Again, doing this for every single team going in draft order. Eventually going to get to your team. Apologize for the wait. We have a regular mock draft, a recent one already out. We're going to keep updating those. We got multiple rounds in those. March Madness bracket videos out. We have a link in the description from every video to join our March Madness pool. Make your bracket. Link in the description for our Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. Patreon, you can get extra content if you check that out. Twitter and Instagram, always post on those. We have a fan voted mock draft going on Twitter right now. Once we get through all that, there'll be a video on that. But on to the Bills. What do we got? First round, Montez Sweat, defensive end, Mississippi State. I think if he's there, and which I think he will be at this point, it's a possibility, they got to take him. They're looking for another pass rusher. They have, if they add a guy like Sweat, they'll have good guys as depth, as rotation, I should say, which you need. They have some solid guys, but are they as good as Sweat? Do they have the ceiling Sweat has? No, they don't. Sweat is freak, but he has freakish talent as well. Every time I talk about Sweat, I bring this up. Usually guys like Sweat, that have that 40 time and the freakish ability, athletic ability, they don't have the production, but Sweat had the production. He didn't have Josh Allen production in terms of sacks, but he had a good amount of production in the last couple of years. Good amount of sacks last year. So Sweat in that defense will be great. Fit right in with the other young potential they got there. So if he's there, I think they got to take him. What is that? The 9th pick. He's higher than 9 on my board. I'll tell you that. That's for sure. Couple spots higher than 9. Just a few. But moving on to their next pick, I got Trayvon Mullen. I like this fit here. The corner from Clemson. They have quite a few corners that can play. Same as the pass rush position. They have guys that can play. They don't need another one to suit up, really, I should say. But they definitely need another. They can get better at these positions. Trayvon Mullen's a fit to me. I would like him opposite of Tre'Davious White. They have a few other guys, but he sticks to receivers. He's good in man. He's quick. Good technique. He was on the best defense and the best team in college football too. So, and he was a big reason for it. So I like Trayvon Mullen of the Bills. It makes a lot of sense to me. Moving on to the next pick, I got Caleb McGarry, Washington tackle. Do they need a starting tackle right away? I'd say maybe, but they definitely need a guy for the future. And, you got to bring him in to compete. You never know what you need there. Going into free agency, they needed a tackle and a right guard, or both on the right side, I should say. And, they filled the tackle spot out. But McGarry, if he's sitting there in the third, which is realistic, he could go second. I think they take him. They definitely need a couple offensive linemen, even if they don't start right away. Next pick, Dalen Mack, Texas A&M defensive tackle. Another spot. It's kind of making the Bills look good right now. They don't really need. They definitely could get better, and they could. With Montez Sweat, he would start, but they could. They got a good roster, really. They got a good starting group on both sides of the ball, but they definitely need more of something like this. And Dalen Mack could potentially be a 3rd-round pick. Could also be a 4th-round pick. It's a grade A mock. Best case scenario, but also realistic. Dalen Mack will help them a lot. Compete with Harrison Phillips from last year's draft. Drew Samia from Oklahoma, but part of the best offensive line in college football. And this will be a guard. I actually think he can start right away for them at right guard. And, he could, it wouldn't shock me if he went 3rd, but I think 4th is more of his range. And, there's some teams that still believe don't take a guard super early. Quentin Nelson was a different breed last year. So there's multiple teams that I know of for sure that will not take a guard early. So some of them get pushed down here, and you can find starting guards. We see it every year. So you can find starting guards down here. And Samia would definitely be a solid one to pick up here. I know they will like him. I think he can start at that guard spot for the Bills right away. Moving on. Jazz Ferguson in the 5th round. The Bills had a big need at receiver, and they can still go with a top-tier guy in round 1. Maybe if DK Metcalf is sitting there, it can still happen. But they have 2 outside receivers, and Robert Foster, who was a rookie last year, they like a lot, obviously. Zay Jones, they're still high on. I believe in him, too. I was high on him coming out. He's an outside receiver, and they got slot guys now in John Brown and Cole Beasley. Brown can do really both of them can play slot and outside, which is impressive. So that's four receivers that can play. You could use another outside guy, Just Foster, I doubt he was a one-year wonder, but, you never know. And then Zay Jones hasn't really lived up to the hype yet. Had that incident off the field. Nothing came up after that. So nothing concerning there, but I think they're still in the market for another outside receiver. And Jazz Ferguson, his upside is through the roof. In my opinion, he should go 4th round, maybe even 3rd round. I think he'll be here. Possibly he can go 4th round, but I think he can be here. Tons of potential here, and they could use another outside receiver for Josh Allen to stretch the field. Very good, and he's fast too for a bigger guy. About 6'4", about 6'5", around there, and then ran in the 4.4 is very impressive. He's sitting here, I think they take him. I think it's a Bills type of guy right there. Next pick, Isaac Nauta from Georgia. I think they like him. I think he's another guy that I think can fit right in. He didn't have the best combine, and before the combine, he was probably a 4th round guy. Maybe slips a little bit, but you got to pay attention to the tape here. This guy's got a lot of potential. He can block. He can catch the ball. And the Bills, they have a couple tight ends that can play, but here's a guy with a lot of potential. They bring in there and try to make him the tight end of the future. Next pick, Tony Pollard, running back from Memphis. Yeah, they have a few running backs too. They got LaShawn McCoy, Frank Gore, Chris Ivory. They got a few guys, but they really don't have. They don't have the young guy really. They don't have the young guy, and they don't have the guy that. LaShawn McCoy can do it all. Let's be honest here, but they don't have that young guy, and they don't really have a top-tier guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Tony Pollard was a receiver. And, worst-case scenario, he can play slot receiver, but I really like him as a running back. He's good. Memphis had a good trio of running backs, and when Darrell Henderson, their starter, was out in the bowl game, Tony Pollard rushed for over 100 yards, and he knows how to hit the hole. He has the vision, and he knows how to move after he hits that hole too. So I like Pollard for them. I think they've been looking for a guy like that. So we will see. That's round 6. We got a couple more picks here for the Bills. Kendall Joseph from Clemson. Inconsistent player. That's why he drops to 7. Yeah, was part of that, Clemson team, national championship team. It's a tough one to predict where he's going to go. He's got a range about 5 to 7. The best case scenario here, Bills get him at 7. And can play multiple spots in the line, but they really need depth at this point. And Kendall Joseph, his highs are pretty good. He'll be instinctive. He'll figure out the play. He'll rush in the backfield, make the play, blow it up, big hit. But then sometimes he looks a little lost. But Clemson defense is stacked. It's hard to split those guys apart. Some of them obviously are first-round talent, but, never know. Sometimes with those big-time defenses, you don't know who's making who look better. Are they all that good, So I like Kendall Joseph the 7th round. That's definitely a great pick in the 7th round, and it's possible that he'll be there. And now we're on to the last pick here for the Bills. And I got Brian Peavy from Iowa State, another corner they can possibly put in the slot or they can keep outside. He's a very under-the-radar guy. He had a very solid season. No one's really talking about him. I think he ends up being in the 7th. Not getting a lot of talk around the league, but I think that could be a darn good pick there. So grab a couple corners. They already have a few, but could use some more. Mullen play outside. Peavy would probably be a depth guy for the slot right away, but again, he can play outside. So there is the Bills mock draft. A lot of picks there. A lot of picks. Good haul for them. Let me know your guys' thoughts, who you would pick. And again, we're going to get through all these teams eventually. Take some time here. It's a process, but we'll get there. So I apologize if you have to wait for your team. 20K is our subscriber goal. We got plenty of NFL content. Like I said, we did a March Madness bracket. You can join our pool. Link in the description for that. We got a fan vote and mock draft on our Twitter. Link in the description for that. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. We got a lot going on here. Click the like button, notification button, all that. Much appreciated, but that's going to do it. That's going to do it for the Bills mock. Thanks everyone for watching. More to come. Goodbye.